So having built my financial planning practice here in the greater Seattle area, the demographics just kind of dictate that a lot of my clients are either what I call Henrys, which is high earners, not rich yet, meaning I help them with like accumulation and the right investments, tax efficiency and all that kind of stuff to set them up for a really successful retirement. Or it's people who are just nearing or like in that first part of retirement. The retirement danger zone is what I call that, when the decisions you make getting to retirement really can have a big impact. But this video is on 5 big retirement regrets that 75 to 85-year-olds have. And I'm able to make this video because I just had another advisor leave his firm, come over to my firm, and he brought a bunch of clients with him. And they've been his clients since 2006, and he actually took over a lot of them from his mom. So I've been having these conversations with these retirees who've made it to that part of their life. They've gone through the go-go years of retirement, the slow-go years where they're spending a lot of time with family in that last part of retirement. And I asked them what their big regrets were. So we did a lot of talking about what they loved and what made them have a fulfilling, happy retirement. And on this channel, there's other videos on kind of how to maximize not just the money, but your retirement itself. And there was 5 common things that they all kind of said as I went through and talked to these folks and got to know them to make sure we could do a good job for them. So the first regret that people have is they didn't retire earlier. Now you might be thinking to yourself, hey, I'm looking forward to retiring. I'm saving and investing to try and get to retirement. Why on earth would I ever retire later than I have to? The fact of the matter is that when you spend 20 or 30 or 40 years getting a steady paycheck, and that money's always coming in and you know where it's coming from and you know that it will be there tomorrow, switching from that method of living to living off your retirement savings can be a big change. There's also a big difference in how you're invested during the accumulation phase and during the distribution phase. So I'll show you here on my software. The conversation that I had with these clients actually happened over a couple of years as they were coming to me looking to prep for retirement. And they kept saying, you know, we want to retire, but if we just go one more year, we just need that extra dollar. We just need one more level of account balance before we really feel like we're safe enough. So finally, what got them to get over that hump and actually pull the trigger on retirement is they'd been kind of like shopping around for a financial advisor. And I said, well, let's sit down and look on paper, and maybe that will help you see what I see. And having done this for a decade, what I know is that you probably can retire a little bit earlier than you think. So if we come here and we take a look at these clients, and they made really good money, they were savers, they had a lot of education expenses for their kids. You may look at this and if you think, hey, if I have $1.6 million, no problem, I'm gonna retire. Well, what a lot of my clients run into is they wanna retire before Social Security. So we have to plan to bridge that gap to Social Security, because if you take it too early, you're going to take a discount on it that's locked in for life. So you really want to maximize that Social Security. So in order to get over this regret, in order to not lose any more time, what I did was I took them over to the retirement tab and I said, look, you know, as long as we can get you there, you're going to have around $2.2 million in retirement. And even though, yeah, we have an $8,500 a month difference between what you're spending and what you're making, we should be able to cover that pretty easily at even a conservative rate of return with your spendable assets. And from there, it was really fun to go back with the clients and come here and retire them a little bit earlier. And so I went through this process with these clients where I said, well, what if you wanted to retire at age 66? What would that look like? And by showing it to them on paper, you can see that even with that retirement year earlier, even with no Social Security coming in, their net worth didn't take too big of a hit. And so I was able to show them on paper where their money was coming from and that it would last. And at the end of the day, I just talked to them for a review in the last couple of weeks, and they said we would have waited years longer in order to pull the plug. And now we're spending this time with our kids and grandkids. And you know, this was the one thing that pushed them over the hump. So in order to avoid that one retirement regret of waiting too long, a lot of times it's very, very helpful to see it on paper when you can retire, how much money you can have, or how much money you need in order to retire. The second thing that these retirees told me they regretted was not spending more in retirement. Now, again, this may not seem like something that makes a lot of sense. You think, well, when I get to retirement, but in a decade of doing this and helping hundreds and hundreds of people manage tens of millions of dollars in retirement, no matter how much money somebody has in their accounts, I can tell you that the number one fear that people have that drives a lot of this decision making is running out of money. plain and simple. Nobody wants to just live on Social Security. And so a lot of times people will find themselves with a lot more money near the end of their life than they really anticipated. Most of my clients come to me with this idea that they're going to spend every penny and we're going to go paycheck to paycheck and get every vacation. And then they end up being fearful that they're not going to have that money. And so they don't spend enough in retirement. I have a couple clients right now who are actually out traveling. And I told the wife in this retired couple that as they're traveling, I want her to order nothing but the filet mignon. I want her to order nothing but the best seafood that she could have, because her husband said, look, I can't convince her that we have enough money. And I showed her in black and white, and I finally told her, I'm just gonna start pushing money to your bank account and you gotta spend it because you're young and you're traveling now and that's not gonna last forever. So not spending enough early enough in retirement is one regret that people have. So if we look at the financial planning software, we can see that even if we came back here to the expenses and came down and put in $4,000 a month for one grandkid's college in 4 years from now, even if we added a second grandkid's college at $4,000 a month or $48,000 a year to maybe fund 4 years of college, if we did that for a second grandchild who maybe was 4 years younger than the other grandkid, and we started that in January of 2034, and then we paid for that second grandkid's college through 2037, even with that additional spending, you can still see that at age 100, these clients should still have $6 million in the bank. So that's something that could help them create generational wealth and really enjoy that part of their life, the younger part of their life, where they can make a bigger difference on the people that they love, or they can take that money and, like I said to my client, go buy the best cut of steak because you can afford it. So if I haven't met you yet, my name is Chris Reed. I'm a chartered financial consultant. I'm the head of Capital Partners Wealth Management. And if you have something in your toolbox that's helped you live a more fulfilling retirement, or if you're older and you're watching this and you have regrets or things you wish you had done, put them in the comments below, start a discussion that might be helpful to somebody else who can read and take from your experience and make them have a much better life experience. Because ultimately giving back is what this YouTube channel is here for. And if you say something there that's helpful to someone else, that's a pretty good thing. The third very common thing that I heard from these folks who were in their 80s was, I'm dealing with a lot of health things now that I think I wouldn't be dealing with if I would have taken better care of my health when I was younger. So there's another video on this channel that has to do with the 6 habits of successful retirees. And I know one of those things that I heard from my younger retirees is that they wish they better care of their health. Your health is one thing you can't do without. And this third thing, which is your health, also is gonna relate to the number 5 thing, which is really gonna tie this all together. So the fourth thing that I didn't really see coming was a lot of these 75 to 85-year-olds wish they had taken up a hobby basically the day they retired. And what I heard from a lot of them was, look, when you spend 20, 30, 40 years going into a job, 8, 9, 10 hours a day with a commute, for 40 years, you have something that you do all day, every day. And when you don't, then you have these other things that you wanna do. Well, when you retire, you kind of switch. And with all those free hours, all these retirees wish they had taken up a hobby that could replace that activity of work. Now, the most successful retirees that I have in my practice not only have hobbies, but they do things like give back, or they teach, or they coach, or they give back and try and take the things that they've spent a lifetime learning and accumulating and passing it on to the next generation. So finding a hobby like photography or taking a walk outside, or a hobby that can help keep you healthy, that could be one great way to make sure you maximize your retirement and going into those no-go years healthier and with less regrets about missing out on things you wish you had done. And finally, the fifth thing that all these retirees wish they had done more, especially when they're younger, and this really kind of goes back to number 2, was travel more. So the years right after you retire is typically when you're your healthiest. That's when you're hopefully forming good habits. And like my one set of retirees, they went to Europe, and instead of going on like a riverboat cruise or traveling around via train or car, they actually took a walking tour of the coast of Spain. Now, I'm 46, it seems like a lot of walking to me. He's probably healthier now than I will be when I'm his age, but I thought it was such a great way. They got to experience the outdoors, they got to go for this long walk, they stayed in hotels along the way, and that was such a great experience for them. A lot of these retirees have said, look, when you're young, you have to get out and go exploring and see places that you've always wanted to see and visit those places that you grew up loving. So we come down and we can add other expenses. In a solid financial plan with the right tools, we can add other expenses, like maybe we add in travel, and we spend $24,000 per year or $2,000 per month for the first 10 years of our retirement. Maybe we put ourselves on a forced vacation plan to where we don't make it to age 85 and wish we had done more. So if we put in $2,000 a month for 10 years, before it's time to come back and settle down and spend time with the grandkids and do those kind of things, seeing it on paper, seeing it in black and white on a retirement plan, that even with all that additional spend, so at the end of this video, I've added in 2 grandkids college fund, $24,000 a year travel, not touched their extra savings or their disposable income, and retired them a year earlier. And this couple should still pass away with $4.2 million in the bank. So thanks for watching. Hopefully you found that helpful. If you subscribe to the channel, you're gonna get notified anytime I put something like this up. And if something is helpful for you, shoot me an email or drop me a note and let me know what kind of content you like. And if you fill out one of the quizzes in the description below, if you're wondering, do I have enough to retire? When can I retire? Or maybe you just need that little shove to get out the door, go ahead and fill out one of those quizzes. And when I have time, I'll get back to you. Thanks so much and happy investing.